I strongly recommend to use some engine, some program like Fritz or Hierarchs or one of those programs. So let's go on to the critical position of this variation, which is right after move bishop f4. This is the critical position, which will be set up in a moment. Bishop f4. Okay, another continuation is bishop to e6. On bishop e6, the good move here is queen to c1. And let's see why queen c1 gives an advantage. Now, black is in danger after, if it was white's move now, white will play rook d1 and black has zero counterplay. And then while simply can advance in the center, and black is going to have a problem. So knight takes d4, practically forced. Knight takes d4, and now black must recapture with the queen. Taking with the bishop is real bad after rook d1. Must recapture with the queen. Bishop takes b7, rook a to b8. Now I developed this system and I have had it in my game, and correct move here is, only correct move is bishop f3. Bishop to g2 is not a good move because black equalizes immediately. Now let me show you the difference between bishop f3 and bishop g2. Now after bishop f3, after bishop g2, let me say why it's not good, because black simply goes knight a4. You see, attacking the knight. Now you don't want to take this knight because after queen takes a4, b2 pawn is real weak. So you have to play rook d1, and then black has knight takes c3. That's the key. You see, pawn on e2 is not protected, and after rook takes queen, black wins with knight takes e2 check. So for this reason, you have to play bishop to f3. Now, after knight a4, we go rook d1. And actually the better move here, maybe in this position, after bishop f3, knight a4, rook d1, I think black is really in trouble, because on queen b4, we have several ways of getting an advantage. Knight takes a4 is the simplest way. Queen takes a4 and rook d2. This position is much better for white, because they can, what they want to do, they want to play simply b3, attack the queen, and play rook b1. They have better pawn structure, better bishops, and black has weaknesses. Now, of course, black does not have to play knight a4, but if they go knight c4, that's what happened in one of my games. Then we simply go rook d1, queen b6. Now we go b3, queen b4. That's what happened in the game. Knight d5, bishop takes d5, and bishop takes d5. And this is very tricky. Now bishop takes a1 is not good for black, because queen takes a1, and now black's knight is hanging. And after knight b6, black all of a sudden got mated on g7. This is little unusual. Mate, because normally when you go bishop h6, there is always f6. But bishop on d5 does not allow to play f6. So if black cannot play bishop takes a1, they simply have to go knight b6. And after rook b1, white has clear advantage. So this is the we just reviewed the bishop e6 variation, and one last move left here is bishop to g4, which we're going to cover quickly here. The last move is bishop g4, but this is simply big advantage for white. We go d5, and if bishop takes f3, then simply bishop takes f3, and after knight e5, bishop g2. This is not good position. Then we go queen b3 and put rooks on d1 and c1, and black is in bad shape. However, if black does not take on f3 and plays knight a5, if they don't take with the bishop on f3 and plays knight a5, then we simply go knight e5 and gaining another tempo. Now bishop has to move, and it cannot go to h5. He may get trapped right away or even a couple of moves later, and the bishop has to go back to c8. That does not look very promising for black. So giving all this, so I think, having all this in consideration, I think bishop f4, based on those variations, gives white some edge. And remember, this is almost not explored and not studied. Theory has very little of it, and only based on the games that I played. But what I gave you now, it's kind of wider and a wider version of the theoretical publication. So okay, so now we just covered Grunfeld. Briefly, what can you do in Grunfeld to come out, one, alive, two, with a view on to the middle game, and second, maybe even being ambitious. Something you can learn very quick. You can learn it in 10 minutes, or you can learn it in half hour, 10 minutes abbreviated version to play in a pawn minority, and to spend more time you can play this G3 variation, which is a lot more ambitious. In the other opening that we have to cover is when you go d4, sometimes your opponent may go knight f6, c4, d6, knight c3, and they may go knight d7, and when you go knight f3, they go e5. Now, they are not developing bishop on g7. They want to develop bishop on e7. You go bishop g5. Now, in one game, my opponent in this position played g6. Or he said, oh, if bishop on g5, then I may go g6 and bishop g7, but g6 loses instantly, because we now can play d takes c, and knight takes e5. Simply wins a pawn for white. You can see it quickly. If knight takes e5, queen takes d8, white wins a lot of material. So correct move is bishop e7. Then we go e3, castle. That's what I would recommend, to go bishop d3, and on c6 move queen c2, and maybe, not maybe, probably castle long. Now this is better position for white, and it's very ambitious, and you may go g4, even very next move, possibly very next move, g4, or if you need to prepare, then you go rook g1 and g4. Well, something like this will be very good for you. If you need to prepare, go h3, fine. a6, d takes e, and now g4. This position is very interesting and good for white. It's dangerous for black to go h6, because after bishop takes f6, knight takes f6, there may be g5, opening the g file quickly. And it's difficult for black to play without h6, because knight cannot move from d7 somewhere because